Get ready, because today we are going deep into Runeterra,
Mm.
one of the most impactful events in League of Legends lore, the Ruination. And specifically, we're going through Ruination, the novel by Anthony Reynolds.
Yeah, what I think is really interesting about this story is that it doesn't just tell us what happened, it makes you feel the weight of these choices. These characters are larger than life, but they also feel very human.
Yeah, for sure. So our goal today, we're going to try to figure out how the Blessed Isles, this supposed paradise, became the Shadow Isles, a realm of, well, kind of a nightmare. We'll be talking about King Viego, his Queen Isolde, Kalista the General, who's super loyal, and Hecarim, he leads the Iron Order, and their stories are kind of all woven together in this big tragedy.
And it's amazing how Reynolds weaves in these themes that we can all relate to, like really obsessive love, the price of ambition when it goes unchecked, and how good intentions can lead to,
Yeah.
ruining.
Right, okay, so picture this. The Blessed Isles, specifically Helia, the capital. Imagine a city built on knowledge, stunning architecture, a haven for scholars. But here's the thing, it's too perfect, almost sterile, and completely undefended.
And that's not just like a random detail. It really says a lot about their mindset. They basically thought that knowledge was their only protection, which, spoiler alert, is not a great strategy. It's like thinking that a library card can protect you from zombies.
Yeah. And then we have King Viego, who starts as this noble ruler, deeply in love with his queen, Isolde. But then Isolde is poisoned, and Viego's grief, it twists him, it breaks him.
This is where the book gets really relatable, even though it's about kings and magic. Think about how people react irrationally when something really bad happens, like making bad choices with money or pushing people away. Viego is on that same scale, but it's not just his bank account, it's like the fate of a whole civilization.
And that is where Kalista comes in. She's sworn to Viego, but also deeply devoted to Isolde. Imagine being HUR, seeing the king, you're bound to going crazy, knowing he's making these really bad choices.
Yeah, it's this classic dilemma, duty versus conscience. Callista's whole journey is about that breaking point, where loyalty to one person starts to clash with what you know is right for everyone else.
Right. Now let's add in the Fellowship of Light. They are these guardians of knowledge, but they're so secretive,
Right.
which just breeds resentment. It's like that friend who has all the good info and never shares. Super annoying.
But on a societal level, that lack of transparency creates a power vacuum. And guess who comes in? Urlach Grail, a warden who wants power. He sees the Fellowship's secrecy as his chance to grab some power.
So Viego is desperate to save Isolde. He hears this rumor about the Blessed Isles, this mythical place that he thinks holds the key to bringing her back to life. He has no map, just whispers and legends.
It shows how grief can make us believe anything. It's like spending all your money on a lottery ticket because you're convinced it'll solve all your problems.
Okay, and guess who he sends to find these legendary isles?
Callista.
No GPS, just ancient stories and a lot of ocean. Talk about pressure.
This is where we really see Callista's inner strength. She's facing storms, crazy creatures, and even a prophecy from Soraka, the Star Child. It's like being tested by fire, literally and figuratively.
And then there's Rise, this young mage who is apprenticed to a seeker. Think like Indiana Jones for magic artifacts. Rise is brilliant, but impulsive. Like the student who gets perfect grades but blows up the chemistry lab.
He represents the danger of unchecked talent. Rise makes a deal with Grail, thinking he's smarter than everyone, but he's playing with forces he doesn't fully understand. And those forces, they tend to come back to bite you.
Yeah, hard. Because what Rise does directly helps Viego find the Blessed Isles.
Yeah.
And that's when things go from bad to, end of the world bad.
Viego, with his spooky Iron Order behind him, attacks Helia. It's like a plague of locusts. But it's not just an army, It's like his grief, his anger, it's all turned into a weapon.
Right. It's not just a battle. It's like an emotional hurricane. And Callista's stuck right in the middle of it, trying to protect a city that doesn't even know the danger it's in.
Yeah. And it's even more tragic when you remember that Hecarim, who Kalista is supposed to marry, is leading Viego's attack. Talk about an awkward family reunion.
Oh, for sure. This poor woman stuck between her promises, watching the man she loves become like a twisted version of himself.
It shows how insidious the Ruination is. It doesn't just wreck cities, it corrupts people. It twists love into something dark and controlling.
And then there's the Well of Ages, this fountain of powerful magic. Viego thinks it'll bring back Yolzil, but the well isn't like a vending machine. You can't just order a resurrected queen.
The Blessed Isles, for all their knowledge, didn't understand magic. They thought they could control it, but, well, it's like a force of nature. Viego trying to use it is like trying to hold an earthquake in your hand.
And yeah, it doesn't go well.
What happens is what we call the Ruination. this huge wave of dark magic that turns the Blessed Isles into the Shadow Isles. It's not just physical. Everything beautiful is twisted into something horrible.
In Kalista, she becomes this spectral wraith, bound to serve Viego. It's like a nightmare you can't wake up from.
But there's still hope. After the Ruination, new champions appear. Like Gwen, Isolde's doll, that comes to life with a piece of Isolde's soul.
Gwen's like this tiny spark of defiance against this huge despair. Isolde made her, gave her kindness, and now she's fighting against the very thing that consumed Isolde's husband. It's really something.
And then there's Senna, Lucian's wife. Thresh, one of the most famous figures of the Shadow Isles, kept her prisoner for years. But she escapes, and she uses the darkness that held her captive. Talk about turning the tables.
Senna's story is about strength, about never giving up. But it also makes you wonder, can anyone escape the ruination? Does it stay with you, like a stain, even if you fight against it?
That's the big question, right? The Ruination isn't a clean break. It has lasting effects. The champions who fight it, they are changed by it. They are marked by what they experienced, what they lost.
Okay, so let's dive into some of the secret lore. The stuff that makes you think, like, remember the Buru navigators Kalista meets? They're not just sailors, they hunt sea monsters. It's like they're looking for the darkness. What's that about?
It hints at a different way of seeing death. The Blessed Isles try to ignore those things, but the Buru engage with them, even fight them. It's a different perspective, less fearful.
It's an interesting contrast. The Blessed Isles, with all their rules and control, seem almost empty compared to the rest of the world. It's like they were trying to control life itself, which made them really vulnerable.
They wanted knowledge, but their isolation made them arrogant. They thought they could master magic, control the spirit realm, and that destroyed them. It shows that even good intentions can have bad consequences.
Speaking of unsettling things, remember those glowing creatures Callista sees outside Helia? They seem harmless, even cute, but there's something strange about them.
It's a small detail, but it suggests there's magic even the Blessed Isles didn't understand, forces they couldn't control. Maybe those forces helped cause their downfall.
Like they were surrounded by warnings, but they were too arrogant to see them. Let's talk about Viego again. He's obsessed with Isolde, but is it really love? Or is it just wanting to possess her, not accepting she's gone?
That's the big question. Love is powerful, but it can blind you, make you do bad things. Viego's love for Isolde is real, but it's twisted by his grief. He can't let go.
He's so focused on bringing her back that he forgets who she was, what she would have wanted. It's tragic because what he does ends up destroying her.
Because he can't accept death, he ends up perverting life. The Shadow Isles become a twisted version of his desire, a place where souls are trapped and suffer.
And that brings us to choice and free will. How much control did these characters actually have? Was the ruination inevitable, or could they have stopped it if they had made different choices?
It makes you think, even after you finish the book. Fate and free will are always connected. They make choices. But those choices are influenced by their past, their beliefs, and their situations.
So what happens to Runeterra now? The Ruination unleashed this wave of darkness, but then we see champions rise up to fight it. What's next for this world?
The fight between good and evil is part of Runeterra. The Ruination changes things, but it's not the end. Champions will win and lose, alliances will be made and broken, and magic itself will be challenged and change.
It reminds us that even in the darkest times, there's always hope, and that even the smallest choices can have a big impact. But that's a conversation for another deep dive.
You know, something that really hit me about Ruination is like how it deals with leadership. Or really the lack of it. We see Viego, right? Blinded by grief, making decisions that just wreck everything. It's a warning, isn't it?
Oh yeah, totally. He gets so focused on his own pain that he forgets about his people, and that's the scary thing about power, especially when it gets mixed up with strong emotions.
And then there's Kalista, who starts out totally loyal, the perfect follower. But as things get worse, she has this moment where she realizes Viego's obsession is going to destroy everyone.
Her struggle is really interesting. She swore an oath to Viego, but she can't just watch him ruin everything. It shows her character, that she chooses what's right even when it means going against her king. Yeah, imagine being her, having to choose between what you promised and what you know is right. That's a tough situation. And then there's Hecarim. Man, he's complicated.
Hecarim shows how seductive power can be. It can corrupt even good people. He's drawn to Viego's promises, all that talk about strength and glory, but you can see how his ambition starts to eat away at his loyalty.
He gets lost in the excitement of conquering. He forgets about the consequences. But his story is also sad, don't you think?
Hmm.
Even after death, he's tied to Viego, turned into this terrifying wraith stuck in the Shadow Isles.
Right. It shows that wanting power too much can be dangerous. You might get what you want for a little while, but the price you pay can be huge. And it often affects way more than just you.
And we can't forget about all the innocent people who got caught in the middle of everything. The Ruination is like this brutal reminder that wanting power too much, that kind of ambition, can hurt everyone.
It makes you think about leadership. What makes a good leader? Strength, intelligence, kindness. Or is it more than that? Like being willing to listen, to consider different points of view, to think about others before yourself.
We could talk about that all day. But if we think about ruination, I think the big lesson is that real leadership isn't about just doing what you're told or being selfish. It's about responsibility, doing the right thing, and being brave enough to make tough choices.
I like that. And that idea isn't just for Runeterra. It's for everyone, whether you're leading a team at work, making choices for your family, or just figuring out your own life.
So as we finish up our deep dive into ruination, I think we should remember that even with all the darkness and sadness, this story is about hope. We see it in champions like Gwen and Senna. They rise up, ready to fight the shadows.
Their resilience is really something. They remind us that even when you lose so much, you can still find strength to fight back, to rebuild, to make things better.
Exactly. So, to everyone listening, we leave you with this. What choices will you make? How will you use your voice, your actions to make a difference? The Ruination shows us that even small decisions can have a big impact. Make good choices, be brave, and never lose hope.